Founder of crypto-based Live Peer, Eric, again, really coach us up on how this works and how a new company can be launched really based off a blockchain or blockchain network where the people actually using it are the ones that benefit the most. It actually creates value that you can then go use in real life in terms of spending on groceries or house payments or things like that. It's potentially the future.
This is The Top, where I interview entrepreneurs who are number one or number two in their industry in terms of revenue or customer base. You'll learn how much revenue they're making, what their marketing funnel looks like, and how many customers they have.
I'm now at $20,000 per talk.
5 and 6 million.
He is hell-bent on global domination. We just broke our 100,000 unit sold mark.
And I'm your host, Nathan Latka. This is episode 759. Coming up tomorrow morning, Brendan Candon joins us. His site has sold over $3 million worth of athletic gear, but not just any gear, used athletic gear. So who would pay for that? Tune in to find out. Hello, everybody. My guest today is Eric Tang. He's a computer programmer and co-founder of a company called Live Peer, a decentralized video live streaming platform incentivized with the blockchain. He was introduced to the blockchain in 2014, and it's slowly taken really over his thinking in his life and pretty much everything. It's pretty much everything he thinks about now. So we're going to dive deep into this. Eric, are you ready to take us to the top?
Let's do it.
Okay, so here's why I'm excited to talk to you, and here's why I think it's relevant for my audience. I've talked to a lot of people like the founders of Ethereum, Anthony and some other people. So we have all, I've talked to people that run exchanges, but what I'm really interested in is how entrepreneurs like you are choosing to use blockchain and token issuances to essentially build new companies, right? So
yeah,
tell us what... If Live Peer was not built on cryptocurrency, name a company today that is like Live Peer.
Yeah, so these companies exist today. You might not have heard of them. There's a company called Wowza that basically does video transcoding for people in a centralized way. So they run a server farm. You upload your video, you stream your video to them, and they kind of make it available in transcoded version to the public.
It's called Wowza?
Yeah.
Okay.
There are companies like big CDN players like Akamai that would do this service as well for their users, but they're more upscale, like much larger enterprise customers.
Yep. So Wowza, like they have two pricing: the Wowza streaming engine and the Wowza streaming cloud. They, that's a typical kind of B2B SaaS, plus pay as you go model. So why not just become a customer? Why would I choose to use Live Peer over Wowza?
Right. So there are two different cases. One is one that I am particularly interested in is this decentralized world that's popping up. It's a very grassroots effort today, but application developers are building completely decentralized applications, which means these applications do not have a backend like your traditional applications. They don't have a server, and they directly talk to the blockchain itself, which is also not centralized, essentially owned. So they would have storage solutions like IPFS or Swarm that are completely decentralized as well.
Are those like AWS, like versions of AWS that are crypto based?
They're not as much AWS as they're just providing very basic features like you're able to have an identity, but you're not able to do like super high intensity computation or anything like that. And I would say they were more like a front-end application. If you think of, there are a lot of applications that are built strictly in JavaScript, right? So there is no backend. So if you think of that and add the blockchain to that, so that they can communicate over the blockchain, that'll be the type of project that we're thinking about. So. Okay. So with Live Peer, right? If you are creating a decentralized application and you want to add video streaming to your application, there is right now really no solution to do that because all the video streaming solutions are centralized solutions, and we're kind of the only solution for you. So imagine if you wanted to build a decentralized application to enable decentralized journalism, right? So say like in the conflict zone, the first thing that gets cut off is kind of like these like centralized services. But if you're able to build a matched network similar to the protests that happened in Hong Kong a few years ago when people started using fire chat to chat with each other, and the government was not able to actually shut that down.
Yep.
Right. So if you want to build in video streaming into those applications, you would have to use something like LivePeer.
Versus you couldn't use Wowza.
Because the government will be able to figure out the IP of Wowza and block the service.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting. And then, so here's a question I have. Let's say I'm making this up, but the reason I'm asking this question is I want to understand like how competition happens in a mature blockchain market. So let's say I love your idea. Let's say I'm a journalist and I'm leaving NPR and I love blockchain. And I'm going to build a LivePeer competitor because I just got back from Syria and I tried to do live streaming and it was horrible. So I got really passionate. What incentivizes them? Like, why would they create a competitor to you versus just getting involved on your chain and getting your tokens and getting behind LivePeer?
Yeah, so the whole idea of the blockchain is that the participants are actually the stakeholders, right? So in a traditional application, if you use something like Facebook Live, you are a user of Facebook Live, but that's it, right? As much as Facebook Live grows, you're not going to be benefited by that from your holding standpoint, right? Mm-hmm. But in a decentralized world, if you are a participant in LivePeer, you actually earn LivePeer tokens, right? And as the LivePeer network grows, your token becomes more valuable. So as early participants, you are more incentivized to, number one, evangelize the platform, number two, provide all kinds of different values to the platform to help it grow, because it actually helps your holding to grow as well.
Interesting. Like, it actually grows your like commercial value. I could go to exchange those tokens you've given me via LivePeer and actually put money to go spend at Whole Foods.
Right, exactly. So if you actually look at this not from a company standpoint, but from an ecosystem standpoint, you can look at an example like Bitcoin or Ethereum. Most of the entrepreneurs who are building companies and building value around these ecosystems are early coin holders, right? Like Joseph Lubin, who was one of the founders of Ethereum, left Ethereum to start ConsenSys, which is now hiring 400 people just building applications, building open source projects around the Ethereum ecosystem to make that network grow as quickly as possible.
Is that one of the reasons why it's beating kind of Bitcoin in terms of what people are choosing to do their token launches and ICOs on?
Right. So Ethereum provides a smart contract platform, which the Bitcoin network does not provide. And the smart contract platform gives you a lot more flexibility in terms of the kinds of application you can build on top of it.
Yep. Interesting. Okay. This is a more capitalistic question here for a second. So I understand your answer where that NPR journalist who left is incentivized to just use your platform because they basically, the more they use it, the more they become an owner, right? They actually become part of the thing, right? Why would someone create a direct competitor, or would they ever?
That's an interesting question. I think people will create competitors if they had a very specific belief that's different from what we offer, right?
Like a different feature.
Yeah, different feature. It could be a completely different feature set. But it's hard. It's hard to. So for example, the difference between Bitcoin and Ethereum, right? You can say that they're competitors because they both support kind of like the money transfer feature. But if you can also say Ethereum is completely not competitive with Bitcoin because Ethereum offers this like smart contract feature set that the Bitcoin use case is not focused on, right? Mm-hmm. So and as these networks start to grow, it's very hard to compete with them because of the network effect, right? So now there's essentially so all the code is open source. Anyone can start a new Bitcoin blockchain at any time they want. The reason they will not be successful is because the Bitcoin blockchain now is so big that there are so many miners on the network that there is essentially no incentive for them to switch to a much smaller, newer network.
And a miner would be like a user of LivePeer. They're mining coins the more they use your tool.
Yeah. So people can put their spare computing power onto the network to do this live streaming for other people, and in exchange they will get a token.
Interesting. Now you just said it's impossible to compete with blockchain, but again, Ethereum launched and they seem to be growing fairly fast because of the smart contract concept. Why can't someone else invent an interesting feature like that and beat both Ethereum and Bitcoin networks?
Absolutely, I think someone could, but it has to be a really great feature that's really needed by the public, right? Yeah. So I think, and I think all of these blockchains will exist, will coexist. So it's not like Ethereum is going to exist and Bitcoin is going to go away. My personal belief is that Bitcoin has its use case, and so does Ethereum, and they will all.
Okay, but let me challenge there, Eric, for a second, because network effects are very powerful. Usually, in a network effect ecosystem, there is one winner because you can't beat the network. You just can't beat a network effect. So you think there will be multiple winners in crypto? You don't think the network effect on Ethereum is going to just kill kind of a Bitcoin network?
No, I don't think so. I think Bitcoin is a great way to hold value. So it's almost like what gold is in the real world, right? It has digital scarcity. It has the biggest network, and that network provides a lot of security. So people who are using Bitcoin today to hold value will continue to use that. And Ethereum is for a completely different purpose. Ethereum is really for a smart contract platform where people are building these other applications on top of it. In fact, LivePeer is built on top of Ethereum. Mm-hmm. We use the Ethereum platform to launch our token so that people can hold our token and not have to worry about how secure the LivePeer blockchain is, because we kind of leverage the security of the Ethereum blockchain.
If a VC came to you and said, "I want to invest $100,000 or $1 million in LivePeer," how would you process that? What's your response?
So this is interesting about the blockchain world, at least in the open blockchain world, which is anyone can become an investor, right? So if VCs want to come in and invest, number one, they could just participate in the crowd sale and invest just like anybody else, or if they wanted to, if they wanted to get involved really early, they will be taking on more risk. And to exchange that risk, they will get some token allocation.
But and the reason it's risky is again, let's go through that use case. If I came to you and said, "Eric, I'm loving this interview. I want to get involved. I'm going to use I want to write you $1 million check," right? And let's say I do that. The trick is those tokens I get for the $1 million that I write you, they will not grow in value unless more and more people start actually using LivePeer, because that's what will drive the value of the token up. Is that accurate?
Yeah, that's accurate.
So couldn't I cheat the system by putting in $1 million and spinning up a ton of computers, right? That are basically they're like fake miners, right, for LivePeer, and I artificially grow my value?
You could, but I think you will be spending that money away. And then I'm sure some people are doing this, right? Some people are kind of like pumping the tokens and selling them. But I think eventually over time, so for example, if a big investor come on board, we could ask them to hold their token for a certain amount of time before selling them. It's the companies do this on an IPO level, right? When you go IPO, big investors come on board. They are a lot of them are required to hold the stock for a certain amount of time.
Interesting. Yeah, because I mean, ultimately, again, let's say I put in that $1 million now and I make all these fake miners, but they doesn't actually get any real traction. If I go and even if I get a higher value, if I go and try and sell those tokens, basically there's not going to be any buyers because no one else is using it. Is that what makes the system stay honest?
Yeah, that, and also if you're spinning up a bunch of miners, you're actually providing a lot of computation resources to the network. So for a network that works, that has the right incentives in place, the network will leverage the excess capacity that you provide to the network to provide services for people who actually need to use the network. Right. So in our case, if you spun up a bunch of miners, all of a sudden we have a large capacity in terms of the amount of transcoding and live streaming work that we can do. And that provides a much cheaper price for people to want to do live streaming, which means a lot more people who want to do live streaming will come onto our platform. And that you're essentially just providing a value for the platform. In fact, a lot of investors
Hold on, Eric.
will probably want to do this.
I was going to say, can I stop you there for a second because I want to do a comparison. If you have Live Peer 1 and Live Peer 2, and these are competitors, and you have and you have Kleiner Perkins and Bessemer have invested in one, and Google Ventures and someone else invested in the other.
Yeah.
They could essentially keep spending more money to contribute more resources to the company they're betting on to drive down the cost for new users. And the longer they can do that, ideally the more users they get. So it becomes who can spend the most money to keep prices the cheapest the longest, who's going to win in the end.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which is great for consumers.
Yes, yes.
Fascinating. Okay, I have to tell you something. You know, I've interviewed so many people on blockchain, like very smart people, and I've struggled to ask the right questions to actually make this all make sense. This is really making sense to me now, talking to you and using these comparisons. So kudos on helping me get smarter here.
That's great. That's great. Glad to help.
So why, so here's my next question. For this really to mature, like I'm now thinking about this, like, well, what if I launch another company? What would I do? Well, my background is like marketing, sales, and tech a little bit. Right now, a lot of these companies are being founded by founders and tech people because they understand how crypto works. How do you, like, if I launched something that was like an email marketing tool, right? It would be very difficult for me to get traction there because a lot of people that do email marketing don't understand crypto. How do we solve that problem?
Yeah, that's interesting. So I would say in order for crypto to reach the mainstream, there's actually a huge need for people who are able to translate the complexity into simple languages. So for people who are native marketers, people like you, right? So there's a huge need for that skill. Now, I think the kind of use case in my mind is for the marketer to become stakeholders and to provide value to the ecosystem and kind of grow their token holding. That would be one way to do it.
Yeah.
Right?
This is almost, are you familiar with affiliate programs?
Absolutely.
This is exactly basically an affiliate program, but way easier and simpler, and the incentive structure is way more aligned. Yeah,
exactly. In fact, one of the things that we're thinking about is providing these type of incentives for individual stakeholders on the platform to get new users to come on board and be incentivized to do that.
This is how Dropbox used the viral coefficient. You invite your friend, get free storage. You're saying you can artificially create incentives like that. If people bring on X amount of new users in a month, you can give them extra kind of tokens to incentivize that.
Yeah, in fact, it's not just us, or it could be like the big investor like Google Venture could like put aside a portion of tokens and just incentivize that because they have another large portion and they know that it will drive up value.
And in our current world, that's basically equivalent to an employee equity pool.
Yes, yes.
Fascinating. Oh, okay. This is all clicking now. I'm getting it. Very interesting.
Yeah, except now you're tapped into the global talent pool.
Yeah, no, I totally get it. Yeah, I totally get it. So who gets rich in this ecosystem?
Yeah, I think all the early participants will benefit a lot more, right? Because you know, if you think about like Bitcoin back like 10 years ago, it was, you know, I think the first Bitcoin transaction was 10,000 Bitcoin for a pizza. Right. So whoever sold that pizza is now a multimillionaire.
How many Bitcoins does it take now to buy a pizza?
Now Bitcoin price is, I think, a little over $2,500.
A coin?
Yeah, a coin.
Jesus. So like 0.00 something for one pizza. Amazing. Right. Many of you listening right now don't have time to listen to every B2B SaaS CEO that I've interviewed. If you want to get access to the database I've created with year-over-year growth rates, customer accounts, margins, and many, many other data metrics and data points, you can go to getlatka.com. Here's the thing though, that database, I keep it to myself. It's so freaking valuable. And to preserve the quality of the data and make sure that the people that have access to it have a true advantage, I'm only letting 10 companies on each month. So we're full this month, but you can go to getlatka.com to get on the waiting list for next month. And look, there's big people on the waiting list. I mean, the biggest VCs you've ever heard of. You've probably heard of them. They're big, private equity, billions and billions under management. So it's an impressive waiting list. Go get on now at getlatka.com. Guys, big news. Last month was a huge month for the company I recently acquired, which was www.thetopinbox.com. I liked the company so much when I met the person who created it. It lets you send emails later on Gmail, Set up reminders like snooze almost to keep your inbox clean. Do things like send auto follow-ups and do open tracking so you know when your emails get opened. It's great if you're in sales or CEO or trying to be more productive. So listen, I bought the whole company on the spot, and I want to tell you how I did it. I've showed the deal, by the way, to big, smart people, private equity firms, VCs, and they're dumbfounded. They go, Nathan, how did you do this? We've never seen a deal like this. How did you do this? So I did an unbelievable deal, and I want to show you the income report. So for me to send you the income report, go to www.thetopinbox.com. Click the red button that says install this on Gmail. And when you do that, my email will appear. It'll appear in a little Gmail pop-up window. Send me an email and I'll reply immediately with the income report. And you can see how I'm buying and growing small B2B SaaS companies. That's www.thetopinbox.com. Totally free to try and use. www.thetopinbox.com.
All right, Eric, let's wrap up here with the famous 5. Number 1, what's your favorite business book?
I actually don't read a whole lot of business books,
or
but
crypto
the
book.
one that I really liked recently is The Hard Thing About Hard Things by Ben Horowitz. Being an entrepreneur, I think, has a lot of good lessons about how to behave when things get tough.
Number 2, is there a CEO you're following or studying right now?
I really like this guy, Jared Colonna. He is a CEO coach, but he also co-founded Flatiron Ventures with Fred Wilson, who later on founded Spur Ventures. Yeah. And Jared Colonna runs a executive coaching program, and he puts a lot of content out there about these are like advice for people who are running startups.
Number 3, is there a favorite online tool you have in the crypto world?
In the crypto world, interesting. I would say LivePeer.
Besides your own.
Besides LivePeer, I really like MetaMask. MetaMask is an Ethereum in-browser wallet that allows you to use decentralized applications in any browser.
Is this have you heard of Uquid?
Uquid? No, I have not.
Will you do me a favor? I'll follow up with you after this, but go, I want you to go to that website. I think it's uquid.com. They describe themselves as the same thing, like basically a token wallet that they'll then issue like a debit card that you can then actually spend money and put tokens in to do that, and they take a small percentage. I'm curious your thoughts on that.
For sure.
All right, number 4, how many hours of sleep do you get every night?
I strive for 7.
Okay, what do you get though?
Get 6.5, but I try to make it up on the weekends.
All right, and what's your situation? How married, single? You have kids?
I have a long-term girlfriend, going stable.
Okay, no
going
kids?
Steady. Yeah, no kids yet.
All right, and how old are you?
I am 33.
All right, last question. Take us back 13 years. What do you wish your 20-year-old self knew?
I would say to stay more focused and to worry less. That would be my advice to my 20-year-old self.
There you guys have it. Founder of crypto-based LivePeer, Eric, again, really coach us up on how this works and how a new company can be launched really based off a blockchain or blockchain network where the people actually using it are the ones that benefit the most. It actually creates value that you can then go use in real life in terms of spending on groceries or house payments or things like that. It's potentially the future. Eric, thank you for taking us to the top.
Thank you, Nathan.
If you enjoyed Eric today, go back and listen to Anthony yesterday. He used to work at the Toronto Stock Exchange, but now he's one of the brains behind Ethereum and one of the original founders. Tune in to find out why he did it, how, and how much money he's making.